The school hallway bustled with activity as Max, the notorious bully, spotted his favorite target. Sam, a student with cerebral palsy, struggled to navigate through the crowd. Max saw an opportunity and seized it. "Hey, look, it's wobbly Sam," Max shouted, drawing attention from nearby students. He approached Sam, mimicking his unsteady gait. "Having trouble walking straight, Sam? Maybe you should crawl instead." Sam's face reddened as laughter erupted around him. He tried to ignore the taunts, but Max wasn't done. He knocked Sam's books from his hands, scattering them across the floor. "Oops, my bad. Can you pick those up, or do you need someone to do it for you?" Sam fought back tears as he slowly bent to retrieve his belongings. Max's friends circled around, blocking others from helping. The bell rang, and the crowd dispersed, leaving Sam alone in the hallway. That evening, Sam returned home, his spirit crushed. His grandmother, a well-known local healer, noticed his distress immediately. "What's wrong, my boy?" she asked, her wrinkled face etched with concern. Sam collapsed into a chair, recounting the day's events. "I can't take it anymore, Grandma. Every day it's the same thing. Max and his friends, they just won't leave me alone." His grandmother listened intently, then took his hands in hers. "Samuel, you are stronger than you know. Your disability does not define you. Believe in yourself, and others will see your true worth." Sam nodded, drawing comfort from her words, but doubt still lingered in his mind. The next morning, an unexpected turn of events occurred. Max woke up feeling strange. As he tried to get out of bed, panic set in. His limbs wouldn't respond. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move. "Mom, Dad," Max yelled, his voice trembling with fear. His parents rushed in, shocked to find their son immobile. They called for an ambulance, desperate for answers. At the hospital, doctors ran tests, but found no explanation for Max's sudden paralysis. His parents watched helplessly as their once-active son lay motionless, fear and confusion evident in his eyes. The following day, Max's parents wheeled him into school. The once confident bully now sat slumped in a wheelchair, his face a mask of confusion and frustration. As they approached the main entrance, Max tried to explain his condition, but no words came out. He could only make unintelligible sounds, adding to his parents' distress. "We don't understand what's happening," his mother explained to the school staff, her voice wavering. "The doctors can't find any medical reason for his paralysis or speech difficulties." Meanwhile, Sam entered the school with a newfound air of confidence. His usual hesitant gait was replaced by steady steps, and he held his head high. As he approached his locker, a group of his friends gathered around him, clapping and cheering. "Sam, you're looking great today," one friend exclaimed. "Are you feeling better?" Sam smiled, surprised by his own improved condition. "I feel different. Stronger, somehow." His friends' enthusiasm grew as they noticed the change. "That's awesome, Sam. Hey, want to join us for the science project? We could use your brain." Sam eagerly agreed, joining the group as they headed to class. For the first time, he felt truly included and valued by his peers. The school principal, Mr. Thompson, observed these drastic changes with a mixture of concern and intrigue. He watched as Max struggled in his wheelchair, unable to communicate, while Sam confidently participated in class discussions. After careful consideration, Mr. Thompson made a decision. He called Max's parents into his office and proposed an unconventional idea. "I believe this situation presents a unique learning opportunity," he explained. "I suggest that Max spend a week using the wheelchair, even if his condition improves. This experience could help him understand the challenges faced by students with disabilities." Max's parents exchanged uncertain glances but ultimately agreed, hoping this might lead to a positive change in their son's behavior. As Max was pushed through the school hallways in his wheelchair, he became acutely aware of the stares and whispers surrounding him. Students who once admired and feared him now looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Some even snickered as he passed by, a cruel echo of his own past behavior. One of his former lackeys approached, looking uncomfortable. "Hey, Maxa, hope you feel better soon, I guess." The boy quickly retreated, leaving Max feeling more isolated than ever. Meanwhile, Sam found himself thriving in his new reality. In the science lab, he paired up with Lily, a bright student who had always been too intimidated to approach Max. They began working on their project, their conversation flowing easily. "I can't believe how well we work together, Sam," Lily said, smiling. Your ideas for the experiment are brilliant. Sam beamed, feeling a surge of confidence. Thanks, Lily. I've always loved science, but I never felt comfortable speaking up before. As they continued their work, their friendship blossomed. They shared jokes, discussed their favorite subjects, and made plans to study together. Sam couldn't remember the last time he felt so accepted and valued. Across the room, Max watched their interaction with a mix of envy and confusion. He tried to catch the eye of his usual group of friends, hoping for some support or acknowledgement. But as he looked around, he realized they were avoiding his gaze. During lunch break, Max wheeled himself to his regular table, expecting his friends to join him as usual. Instead, they huddled at a different table, casting occasional glances in his direction but never approaching. One of the boys, Jake, finally walked over. Listen, Max, it's nothing personal, but, well, we don't really know how to act around you now. Maybe it's better if we give you some space until you're, back to normal. As Jake walked away, Max felt a crushing weight of loneliness descend upon him. For the first time, he understood what it felt like to be an outcast, to be judged and avoided because of something beyond his control. The irony of his situation wasn't lost on him, and a seed of regret began to take root in his mind. The school's anti-bullying committee gathered in the library after classes, their voices hushed but excited as they discussed new initiatives. The group, led by a passionate senior named Rachel, had gained momentum in recent weeks. All right, everyone, Rachel began. We need to come up with activities that promote inclusion and empathy. Any ideas? A sophomore raised her hand. What about a walk in my shoes day? Students could experience different disabilities to understand the challenges. The group nodded enthusiastically, jotting down notes. Another student suggested we could organize a storytelling session where people share their experiences with bullying. It might help others understand the impact of their actions. As they continued brainstorming, Max was wheeled into the library by a teacher's aide. The committee members fell silent, exchanging uncertain glances. Rachel cleared her throat. Max, the principal suggested you join us today. We're discussing ways to promote inclusivity and prevent bullying. Max nodded silently, unable to speak. The irony of his presence wasn't lost on anyone in the room. The storytelling session took place the following day. Students gathered in the auditorium, sharing personal accounts of bullying. Max sat in his wheelchair, forced to listen as his classmates recounted their experiences. A freshman named Alex stepped up to the microphone, his voice shaky. There was this time when I forgot my homework. Max, he told everyone I was too stupid to do it. He got the whole class to chant "Stupid Alex" whenever I walked by. It went on for weeks. Max felt a knot form in his stomach as he remembered the incident. He thought it was harmless fun at the time, but seeing the pain in Alex's eyes now made him realize the true impact of his actions. More students shared their stories, and with each one, Max felt increasingly uncomfortable. He recognized himself in nearly every account: the harsh words, the physical intimidation, the relentless taunting. The most powerful moment came when Emily, a quiet girl Max had barely noticed before, took the stage. Her voice was soft but steady as she spoke. Last year, Max found out about my anxiety disorder. He started calling me Crazy Emily and would make loud noises to startle me in the hallways. It got so bad that I missed weeks of school. I even considered hurting myself to escape the torment. A hush fell over the auditorium. Max felt a wave of shame wash over him. He'd had no idea of the profound effect his actions had on Emily. For the first time, he truly grasped the gravity of his behavior and the deep wounds he'd inflicted on his classmates. As the session ended, Max sat in stunned silence, the weight of his past actions pressing down on him like a physical force. He realized that his journey to redemption would be long and challenging, but for the first time, he felt determined to change. In the days that followed, Max found himself lost in reflection. Memories of his cruel actions towards Sam and others played on loop in his mind, each recollection bringing a fresh wave of guilt and shame. He remembered mocking Sam's speech impediment, imitating his unsteady gait for laughs, and excluding him from group activities. The satisfaction he once felt at Sam's distress now made him feel sick to his stomach. One particular incident stood out: the time he tripped Sam in the cafeteria, causing him to spill his lunch tray in front of everyone. The memory of Sam's humiliated face and the echoing laughter of the other students now filled Max with intense remorse. As Max grappled with his past behavior, Sam was flourishing. In their shared history class, Sam confidently presented his part of the group project, his voice clear and steady. His classmates listened attentively, nodding and smiling at his well-researched points. After the presentation, a group of students gathered around Sam, congratulating him. "That was amazing, Sam," one girl exclaimed. "You really know your stuff." Sam beamed, basking in the positive attention. "Thanks, guys. I've always loved history, but I never felt confident enough to speak up before." From across the room, Max observed this interaction with a mix of emotions. He felt a twinge of envy at Sam's newfound popularity, but it was overshadowed by a growing sense of respect for the boy he'd once tormented. The shift in social dynamics became even more apparent as Max noticed Sam and Lily spending more time together. They sat next to each other in class, shared inside jokes, and often studied together in the library. During lunch, Max watched as Sam made Lily laugh, her eyes sparkling with admiration. It was a look that used to be directed at Max, and its absence made him acutely aware of how much he'd lost. As the days passed, Max's isolation grew. His former friends continued to avoid him, uncomfortable with his new status and unable to reconcile this vulnerable version of Max with the dominant bully they once knew. Sitting alone in his wheelchair, Max felt the full weight of his loneliness. He realized that the fear and intimidation he'd used to gain popularity had left him without true friends. Meanwhile, Sam's kindness and resilience were drawing people to him naturally. For the first time, Max understood that real strength wasn't about physical prowess or the ability to intimidate others. It was about facing challenges with grace, treating others with kindness, and having the courage to be vulnerable. As he watched Sam thrive, Max made a silent vow to himself. If he ever regained his abilities, he would use them to make amends and become a better person. The path to redemption would be long and difficult, but Max was beginning to see that it was the only way forward. As the week progressed, Max faced daily challenges that opened his eyes to the difficulties Sam had endured. The school building, which he had once navigated with ease, now seemed like an obstacle course. On Monday, Max encountered his first major hurdle, the stairs. As his aides struggled to maneuver the wheelchair up the steps, Max felt a mix of frustration and embarrassment. Students rushed past, some offering sympathetic glances, others averting their eyes. This is how Sam felt every day, Max thought, a realization that hit him hard. The next day, Max found himself stuck outside a classroom, unable to open the heavy door from his seated position. He waited, feeling helpless, until a classmate noticed and held the door open. The brief look of pity on the student's face made Max's cheeks burn with shame. During a physical education class, the teacher organized a game of wheelchair basketball to promote inclusivity. Max, once the star athlete, now struggled to keep up with his peers who were quickly adapting to the wheelchairs. As he fumbled with the ball, missing easy shots and colliding with other players, Max felt a crushing sense of inadequacy. He caught sight of Sam, who was cheering from the sidelines, and the irony of their reverse situations wasn't lost on him. "Time out, Max," the teacher called, noticing his distress. Max nodded, wheeling himself to the side of the court. He watched as his classmates continued the game, laughing and enjoying themselves. For the first time, he truly understood how it felt to be left out, to be the one watching from the sidelines. Later that week, during lunch period, Max mustered up the courage to approach Sam. He wheeled up to Sam's table, where Sam sat with Lily and a few other friends. "Sam," Max began, his voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything." Sam looked at Max, surprise evident in his eyes. For a moment, Max hoped for forgiveness, for a chance to make things right. But the hurt was still too fresh. Sam stood up, gathering his things. "I appreciate you saying that, Max," he said, his tone neutral. "But it's going to take more than words to fix what you've done." As Sam walked away with his friends, Max sat alone, the weight of his past actions heavy on his shoulders. He realized that earning forgiveness and rebuilding trust would be a long, challenging process, one that he was only just beginning to understand. As the school-wide assembly approached, tension filled the air. The event, focused on bullying awareness and inclusivity, loomed large in Max's mind. He knew he would be expected to address his past behavior, a prospect that filled him with dread and nervous anticipation. In his room, Max struggled to write his speech. Crumpled papers littered the floor around his wheelchair, each failed attempt a reminder of the difficulty of facing his actions. His mother knocked gently on the door. "Max, honey, how's it going?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. Max sighed heavily. It's hard, Mom. How do I apologize for years of being terrible? His mother sat beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Start with the truth, Max. That's always the best place to begin. Meanwhile, Sam was also preparing for the assembly. He had been invited to speak about his experiences, an opportunity that both excited and terrified him. As he practiced his speech in front of his grandmother, his newfound confidence wavered. What if I mess up, Grandma? What if they don't believe me? His grandmother smiled warmly. Your story is powerful, Samuel. Speak from your heart, and they will listen. The day of the assembly arrived. The auditorium buzzed with anticipation as students filed in. Max was wheeled to the front row, his stomach churning with anxiety. He watched as Sam took the stage, standing tall behind the podium. Sam began speaking, his voice clear and strong. He shared his experiences of being bullied, the pain and isolation he had endured. But he also spoke of resilience, of finding inner strength, and the importance of kindness and inclusivity. We all have the power to make a difference, as Sam concluded. To create a school where everyone feels valued and respected. The audience erupted in applause. Max felt a mixture of shame and admiration wash over him. He realized that Sam's strength had always been there, hidden beneath the surface, waiting for a chance to shine. As the applause died down, Max knew it was his turn to face the consequences of his actions. He wheeled himself towards the stage, every eye in the auditorium following his movement. The principal helped him onto the platform, adjusting the microphone to his level. Max took a deep breath, looking out at the sea of faces, some curious, some hostile, some encouraging. He realized that this moment, right here, was his chance to start making things right. With trembling hands, he unfolded his speech and began to read, his voice quiet but determined. The auditorium fell silent as Max began to speak, his voice initially shaky but gaining strength with each word. I never thought I'd be here like this, Max started, gesturing to his wheelchair. For years, I was the one who made others feel small, weak, and worthless. I bullied Sam and many others, thinking it made me strong. But I was wrong. So incredibly wrong. Max paused, swallowing hard before continuing. This past week has opened my eyes. I've experienced just a fraction of what Sam and others go through every day, and it's been humbling. I've realized that true strength isn't about physical power or intimidation. It's about resilience, kindness, and the courage to face your own mistakes. As Max spoke, the audience listened intently. Some shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others nodded in understanding. Sam, sitting in the front row, watched Max with a mix of surprise and cautious hope. To Sam, and to everyone I've hurt, Max continued, his voice cracking slightly, I'm sorry. Those words seem inadequate, but they're sincere. I can't undo what I've done, but I promise to do better. To be better. Max then did something unexpected. He set aside his prepared speech and spoke from his heart. I've always been insecure, he admitted, shocking many who had seen only his confident facade. I was afraid of being seen as weak, so I lashed out at others. But now I see that my actions were the true weakness. Tears welled up in Max's eyes as he continued. I'm scared right now. Scared of what's happening to me. Scared of losing the respect I thought I had. But I'm also scared of the person I was becoming. I don't want to be that person anymore. The auditorium remained silent, the atmosphere heavy with emotion. Students who had idolized Max's tough image now saw a vulnerable, remorseful teenager. Those who had feared him began to see him in a new light. I know I can't ask for forgiveness, Max concluded, but I'm asking for a chance. A chance to make amends, to learn, and to be part of creating a school where no one feels afraid or alone. As Max finished speaking, there was a moment of profound silence. Then, slowly, applause began to build. It wasn't the thunderous ovation that often followed school speeches, but a thoughtful, measured response that acknowledged the weight of Max's words. Mr. Thompson stepped up to the microphone. Thank you, Max, for your honesty, he said. This is a powerful moment for our school community. It's a reminder that change is possible, and that it's never too late to choose a better path. As Max was wheeled off the stage, he caught Sam's eye. Sam gave him a small nod, not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement of Max's first step towards redemption. For Max, it was enough to kindle a spark of hope for the future. In the days following the assembly, a subtle shift began to occur in the school's atmosphere. Max's vulnerability and honesty had sparked conversations about bullying, empathy, and personal growth among students and staff alike. After a particularly challenging physical therapy session, Max found Sam waiting for him in the hallway. The tension between them was palpable, but less hostile than before. "That took guts," Sam said, referring to Max's speech. "I won't pretend it erases everything, but it's a start." Max nodded, a mix of relief and determination in his eyes. "I meant every word, Sam. I know I have a long way to go to make things right." Sam considered this for a moment. "Actions speak louder than words. Max, show me. Show everyone that you're serious about changing." Taking Sam's words to heart, Max threw himself into the school's anti-bullying campaign with newfound enthusiasm. He volunteered to share his story in classrooms, offering a unique perspective as someone who had been on both sides of the issue. During one such session, Max spoke candidly about his past behavior and its consequences. "I thought being feared made me powerful," he explained to a group of freshmen. "But all it did was leave me isolated and empty inside." As Max became more involved in these initiatives, he found himself working alongside students he had once tormented or ignored. Initially, there was awkwardness and hesitation, but gradually, walls began to come down. One afternoon, Max was struggling to reach a book on a high shelf in the library. Without a word, Sam approached and retrieved it for him. It was a small gesture, but it marked the beginning of a tentative friendship. Their interactions became more frequent and less strained. They discovered shared interests in science fiction and basketball, leading to discussions that didn't revolve around their past conflicts. During a group project, Sam noticed Max struggling with some calculations. "Need a hand," he offered. Max hesitated, then nodded gratefully. As Sam explained a problem, Max realized how much he had missed out on by dismissing Sam's intelligence in the past. "You're really good at this," Max admitted. "I should have seen that before." Sam smiled slightly. Better late than never, right? As weeks passed, their friendship continued to grow. They weren't best friends, and there were still moments of tension, but there was also genuine progress. Max learned to listen, to show empathy, and to value qualities he had once ridiculed. For Sam, seeing Max's transformation was both challenging and rewarding. He struggled with conflicting emotions, residual anger from past hurts, but also a growing respect for Max's efforts to change. "It's not easy, forgiving someone who hurt you," Sam confided in his grandmother one evening. She nodded wisely. "Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. Take it one day at a time, and remember, it's as much for your healing as it is for his." As the school year neared its end, the annual awareness event approached. Max, now actively involved in organizing, wheeled himself into the planning committee meeting. The room buzzed with excitement as students discussed final preparations. Midway through the meeting, Sam arrived, slightly out of breath. "Sorry I'm late," he apologized. "I was talking to my grandmother. She wanted me to share something with the group." The room fell silent, all eyes on Sam. He took a deep breath and continued, "My grandmother, she's a local healer. She told me that on the night Max first bullied me, she performed a protection ritual. She believes it's what caused, well, all of this." A shocked murmur rippled through the room. Max sat stunned, his mind racing as he processed this information. Suddenly, the inexplicable nature of his condition made a strange sort of sense. After the meeting, Max approached Sam. "Your grandmother's ritual, is that really why I can't walk?" Sam shrugged, looking uncomfortable. "I don't know, Max's grandma believes in the power of her rituals, but..." Max interrupted. "No, it's okay. I think I needed this. To understand. To change." That evening, Max shared the revelation with his mother. To his surprise, she didn't dismiss it outright. Instead, she hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. "Oh, Max," she whispered. "I'm so proud of how far you've come. Whatever the reason, you've grown into a person I'm honored to call my son." As the awareness event kicked off, Mr. Thompson took the stage. "Before we begin, I have a special announcement," he said, smiling. "This year, we're introducing a new award for personal growth and positive impact on our school community. I'm pleased to announce that the recipient is Max Henderson." The auditorium erupted in applause. Max, shocked and moved, wheeled onto the stage to accept the award. As he looked out of the crowd, he saw genuine smiles and support, a far cry from the fear and resentment he once inspired. However, the ceremony took an unexpected turn when Mr. Thompson continued. In light of recent revelations and the positive changes we've seen in Max, we've also had to reevaluate the actions of those who supported and encouraged bullying behavior. A hush fell over the room as Mr. Thompson explained that several students, including some of Max's former friends, would face consequences for their past actions. It was a sobering reminder that change often comes with difficult realizations and accountability. As the event concluded, there was a sense of a new chapter beginning. Students gathered in groups, discussing ways to make their school more inclusive and supportive. Max found himself in the middle of one such group, contributing ideas and listening to others with genuine interest. Sam approached Max, a tentative smile on his face. "Congratulations on the award," he said. "You've really turned things around." Max nodded, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "Thanks, Sam, but I couldn't have done it without you, without everyone who gave me a second chance." As they stood there, surrounded by their peers, there was a palpable sense of hope in the air. The school had been through a transformative journey, one that had touched every student in some way. And while challenges remained, there was a shared commitment to moving forward with empathy, understanding, and respect for one another. The mysterious event that had changed Max and Sam's lives had set in motion a chain of events that reshaped their school community. It was a powerful reminder that sometimes the most profound changes come from the most unexpected places.